As for inventory models, and this is just a very, very short introduction, we have the independent demand systems and we have the dependent demand systems. What are independent and dependent? If I buy a car, if I'm producing cars, I will need for each car one wheel drive wheel. I will need 5 wheels for the car and one for the extra or emergency wheel. So the demand for wheels is dependent on the number of cars. But if I'm producing toasters, that is independent of the demand for refrigerators, for example, or for cars, or for phones, or whatever. So the independent demand systems are where we have our items separated from the rest. And those can be grouped into 2. The first area are the fixed quantity systems. That is where we establish a certain quantity, Q, and then we can calculate it according to 2 main reasons. The first one is demand is constant and known. Here we're talking about deterministic. We can use the basic economic quantity model or economic order, EOQ. You can find the formula very easily almost anywhere. You have the production order quantity model, and you have a volume discount model. And the second one is unknown demand, but it's predictable, its behavior. This one is probabilistic. We just include the formulas there and we get the numbers. The other, as we said, if we had the first one, if we had the first one as fixed quantity systems, this second one is the fixed period systems. In this case, every single time we buy different quantities. A very good example of this happens at our homes. We usually go the same day of the week or of the fortnight or of the month to make our purchases to the supermarket. And then we buy only to replenish those items that have been consumed and of which we are low, or depending on what we're going to prepare for food or whatever. In the first case, here, for example, every time that we go to the supermarket, we buy the same amount. Let's say 2 gallons of milk. And we go to the supermarket every time that we reach a certain level. For example, we only have 2 or 3 fingers of the last bottle at home. In this one, we go, for example, every Friday, and then we buy only what's needed to replenish. That's the difference between those two, essentially. And then we have the dependent demand. Let me erase a little bit here. Then we have the dependent demand systems. That's very much more simpler, because if we know that we're going to produce 10,000 cars, I know that I will need 50,000 tires for the road and one for the emergency. Inventory costs. Well, essentially, inventory costs are calculated by using the sum of the holding curve cost and the setup cost. When you add both variables, you get the curve for the total holding and setup costs. and the minimum total cost is here. This is the sweet spot. And that's what we try to calculate by using the optimal order quantity model. We will not be delving deeper at this point in this course. As I told you, inventory is something that is not just a matter for one video. It's something that specialists work on this for several courses, most certainly. Fixed quantity systems work very, very nicely and are simple to understand. We buy something and then we consume it at a constant slope. And when we reach a certain point, here's the reorder point, we order immediately, so that by the time that the lead time happens, we receive again, and the behavior repeats itself. But we always order a fixed quantity. In difference to the fixed period systems, where what is constant here is this. The time that passes between each order. And as you can see, we order enough to replenish our inventory. So as to be able to arrive to this target inventory. How do we calculate that target quantity? Okay, that's a matter of some depths that we're not going to be covering in this course. So, just to double check what we have seen so far. We have seen what is inventory, something that we have. What is it for? Essentially a buffer. Why are inventories important? Because they cover most of our assets are involved there. The ideal inventory size, 0. The types of inventory: supplies, work in progress, products, materials, repairs and maintenance, inventory management, inventory controls in service organizations, basic terminology: reorder point, maintenance cost, economic order quantity, total inventory, etc. Minimum or security inventory, inventory cost, and some inventory models. As always, I thank you for your attention, and we will be seeing each other in the next period, in the next video of this series. Thank you for your attention. Bye.